Hey babe, can you work on the car, please?
I don't know anything about cars. All right, I have Villagers on the table here. Villagers is a car drafting engine building game in which you are going to be building your own village full of villagers. The way you'll do that is you are going to draft these cards that are here in the road, taking turns one by one and replacing them with cards that come from these stacks up above the road, starting with the stack that's furthest to the left and then working your way down the line here. And what these cards allow you to do are draft more characters depending on the number of food symbols that you have in your village, or they let you build or play more characters from your hand into your village. That's what this little black building here means. Let me show you real quick how a turn sequence works. The first thing you do is draft, and each player must draft at least 2 villagers plus 1 for each of those food icons showing in your village, up to a maximum of 5. Once everybody has done that, then you will go into an end of draft phase. And this changes depending on the number of players you are playing with. If you're playing with 2 players, essentially how that's going to work is each player, starting in reverse player order, can choose, it's optional, but they can choose to place a coin on top of any one of these cards that are here in the road that they want to keep around for the next round. So they might put that here, say, on the blacksmith, and then another player might say, well, I want to keep the carpenter. Then you are going to replace all the other cards that don't have coins on them, and that would be how that works in a 2-player game. If you are playing 3 or more players, it's a little bit different. You are going to put coins on all the cards, and then at the end of the next draft phase, any cards that are remaining that still have coins on them are going to be removed. So essentially, in a 2-player game, you're adding coins to the cards you want to keep. In a 3 to 5-player game, any cards that have coins are going to be removed. After you have finished the end of draft phase, you go into build phase. And when you go into the build phase, starting with the first player, you are going to do all of your building. It's not going to be in player order. You're going to build all of your building. So you may play 2 villagers plus 1 for each one of those black buildings in your village, up to a maximum of 5. Now this is optional. You don't have to. But what building looks like is essentially you are going to be trying to play cards on top of other cards, most of the time anyhow. Black, green, these pink fuchsia colored ones, the purple ones, most of the cards in the game are going to require you to have another type of villager in your village before you can play this one. So for instance, the mason here requires the miner, and the miner is over here as a basic villager, and I'll come back to what a basic villager is here in a second. But if I have the miner already in my village, then I can play the mason on top of the miner. And when you play a card, you put it right on top of it, covering up anything that's on the card up to the point where you see the name. So only the name and the top portion of the card are showing. And the mason here tells me that I would get 2 gold and one of these black buildings, which again, that allows me to build another villager later on in later rounds. Now, these basic villagers, the miner, the hayer, and the lumberjack, they do not count as build actions. They are free actions that you can do. But in order to get one of these, I have to first essentially take a card from my hand and discard it back on top of one of these stacks. I can put it on any one of them that still has cards in them. And then I can take one of these basic villagers and put them for free in my village, and then continue to build on top of them throughout the course of the game. Now, there are a couple of other things real quick that you will find on cards. So not only will there be cards that you have to have played into your village first before you can build them, but there are sometimes names of cards that have the padlock symbol next to them. And what that means is in order for me to play the bed builder, I have to pay the carpenter 2 gold. And so how that works, it works in one of three ways. If I have the carpenter, which the carpenter's right here, if I have the carpenter already in my village, down here, let's say, this is the best case scenario because when I play the bed builder, I'm going to pay the carpenter 2 gold. Well, how that works is the bank pays me 2 gold, and that goes right here on top of my carpenter. That's the best case scenario. The next best scenario is if no one has a carpenter and I want to play my bed builder, then I have to pay 2 gold to the bank. That's not a good scenario, but there is a worse scenario, and that is if another player has the carpenter in their village, let's say that player over there does, then I am going to have to pay 2 gold to that player, and they will get gold. And gold are points in this game, so you don't want to do that too often. That is mostly what you will be doing in this game. At the end of the round in which you deplete the 2 leftmost stacks, you will find this first market card in which you are going to do scoring for the gold that is printed on the cards in your village, as well as any coins that you have on your cards in your village. So, gold on cards are these numbers in yellow circles here. So if I had all these cards in my village, I would gain 2 + 4, 6 gold. Then I would also count up any of the coins that are on any of these cards, which I would have the carpenter here that has 2 on it. So 2 + 2 + 4 is a total of 8. And I would get 8 gold from the bank at the first market phase. And once that stack is depleted, and that one, and then this one, and the final stack is depleted, then you will go into the second market phase. And the second market phase scores the same way for the gold and the coins on top of the cards, but then you also are going to score for any silver that are printed on your cards. Now, silver is a little bit different. Generally speaking, silver is in-game points. And it correlates to some of the cards that you've played throughout the course of the game. So for instance, the priest here gives you 3 gold for every 2 solitary symbols in your village. Solitary symbols are the brown cards, and you can see them up here on the top of the card. Some have 1, others may have 2 on them, but you're going to get 3 gold for every 2 that you find in your village. So that's how the silver works. Now, you add up all your gold at the end of the game, and whoever has the most is the winner of villagers. I do want to go over one final thing here, and I'm going to show you the box, which we don't normally do here on Love to Hate, but I want to show you one of the modules that you can add to your experience with villagers, and that is the Scoundrels. The Scoundrels are a set of special cards here that just basically let you do a lot of things, but one of the things is kind of a take that mechanic. It allows you to steal from other players and disrupt the village that they are trying to do. And we would recommend on Love to Hate to not play this module when playing with non-gamers, because it could leave the bad taste in their mouth and really ruin the experience with them. And so we would just recommend not playing with the Scoundrels, playing the base game, or perhaps one of the other different modules that you can find in the expansions to Villagers. And that is basically it. There are some rules that I did not cover, but you guys can pick that up on your own. Let's go back up top and share our final thoughts. Okay, so here's Sam and I doing a 2-player playthrough of Villagers, and right now we're going to share our thoughts on this game. I'll go first, and right off the bat, I'm going to let you guys know that I really like Villagers. To me, Villagers is like a light version of Everdell. And if you've seen our video on Everdell, you'll know that Everdell is one of my favorite games of all time, top 3. And so for me to say that this is like Everdell ought to tell you just how highly I view this game. Now, the reason I say it's like a light version of Everdell is because it's more straightforward, it's more streamlined. It's definitely a simpler version of a engine building, card drafting kind of game. And it has the same sort of vibe, same sort of feel that you get from Everdell. Now, and I'm going to stop talking about another game while I review this game, but what I will say is that this engine building experience that you get with villagers is really unique, really fun, and being able to, have the engine kind of built in and of itself where you try to get the different kinds of different
occupation.
Yeah, thanks. I couldn't think of the word. The different occupations to get the coins when you play them, to kind of get your engine going up and running. That's just a really cool mechanic that they put into this game. I really enjoy that. Sam, what are your thoughts on Villagers?
I liked it. I didn't want to like it. It sounded confusing at the beginning, and it did take me a full playthrough, or at least the first half of the game, to really understand what I was doing, what I was trying to accomplish. The second time we played this game, I enjoyed it a lot more. So I just feel like it's one of those games where you just kind of have to play through and get the feel of it first before you can really say if you like it or not. But I did like it. I like the card trading and figuring out what you need to do, and you need this card to have this card. I like that, and it does. Again, I bring this game up all the time. It does. It has a Splendor-ish feel to it, just because you need certain things to get other things. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's interesting that you get a Splendor feel from it, and I get an Everdell.
And those are our favorite games.
You're right. But yeah, no, the chain mechanic of, you have to have this character to have that character, and then, you have that character to get the next character, the different chains that you can create in this game. The combos, it's really cool and interesting. Now, I appreciate the vast array of different characters in this game, and that's where this game, I feel, really truly shines, because there's so many different characters and they all do different things, and that's just the ways in which your engine can stretch and build. That's what makes a really good engine builder, in my opinion, is the countless ways in which you can customize your engine. Villagers really shines in that, and when you add in the different expansions and modules that there are available for this game, it just brings it that much more over the top. And so this is a engine builder that really shines with the best of all the engine builders out there. One that I think is a very high experience when it comes to card drafting, engine building. Games out there. I just can't rave enough about this game. I really enjoyed it. Sam, let me ask you, did you feel like there was any negatives when it comes to some of the special characters that can be played against you, kind of a little bit of a take that experience, where they can take your villagers from your village, or you might have to pay another player before you can use a card. Any knocks there for you as a non-gamer?
No, I don't think so. I don't feel like we really took advantage of those cards too much, and maybe that's just how me and you played the game. I think if maybe we would have played with somebody slightly more competitive, or someone who had played the game more than we had, then it might have been more of an issue for a non-gamer playing with more than one gamer. But I think depending on the gamer you're playing with, it really wasn't.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to go ahead and say that out there for you gamers out there, when you're playing with a non-gamer, that is something to keep in mind. If you really key in on a strategy with those kind of take that cards, and there's not a lot. I don't want to make it sound like that there's a ton of those cards in the game. It's really just a handful of cards in the whole deck. But if you are somebody who's going to really kind of make that a key part of your strategy, that might leave a bad taste in your non-gamer friends' mouths and kind of, squash the experience for them. And so just be mindful of that. You don't really have to play into that kind of strategy to really do well in this game. Like Sam said, we didn't really do that in our gaming experience. I think maybe once or twice is all it ever came up in.
And it was just as easy for me as a non-gamer to get those cards as a gamer. So it wasn't something that you had to have the more experience or anything like that to be able to play those
smarter
cards.
gameplay to be able to do those kinds of things.
It really was just kind of part of your playing.
Right. All right, let's get into our ratings. Scale of 1 to 10, love to hate. I'm going to go first, and I'm going to give this game a 8.4. I really enjoyed this game. I feel like I've already said a lot of pluses on this, so I'm going to turn it over to Sam. And Sam, what do you give this game?
I would give it probably an 8.8.
Whoa, you like it a lot more than me.
I did. I want to play it more. But yeah, I really did like this game.
Awesome. All right. Okay, and so I guess I probably don't even need to ask this, but Sam, is this a game that you would recommend playing with non-gamers?
Yeah, I think so for sure.
All right, well, there you have it. If this is a game you think you might like, check out the link in the description of the video. If you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. We're Love to Hate, and we'll catch you next time.